Hi, I'm Lee Grissom, and this video is to discuss my interview reaction paper. I did interview three counselors that work in my area. Two of them were school counselors, and one was in private practice. The school counselors, one works in an elementary school setting, and the other works in a high school setting. I am currently working as a middle school counselor, so it was interesting to see the different perspectives for the different settings, the different school sites, and how the job varies and is similar across um, different school settings. I did also enjoy speaking with the counselor in private practice. I have taken the mental health counseling course in my graduate program and may at some point in my career decide to work in mental health as well. So I enjoyed the process very much. I enjoyed spending time with these professionals. The biggest takeaway for me, I think, was what I learned from the elementary school counselor who has served in her role in elementary schools and middle schools for the last 20 years. The emphasis she placed on collaboration with all stakeholders in education, I felt like was the greatest thing for me to learn. I also recognize as the most important factor in the work that I do. I am not an island unto myself and am not able to help or meet the needs of my students on my own. So, working with teachers, administrators, parents, community partners, um, being able to build relationships with all stakeholders is a very important part of my job. That does take a great amount of time and patience and effort. A lot goes into building those relationships. I have learned as a new school counselor that it does take time to build trust and to build that relationship with those stakeholders. But it's something I enjoyed, that I continue to do, and I enjoy that part of my job very much. So that was the greatest takeaway for me. I think the one thing that surprised me was in my interview with the counselor serving as a high school counselor. She also has over 20 years experience as a school counselor, but has worked most of those in the middle school setting. Just this year, she began working as a high school counselor. And I was very surprised to hear that the counselors that were serving in the high school, she's had a hard time building a positive working relationship with them and collaborating with them. Knowing counselors and the type of professionals that we are and the qualities that it takes and the values that it takes to do the work that we do, I found that to be surprising and disappointing somewhat. I realize there are all different types of people, but as trained counselors, part of our job is to collaborate with others, to be non-judgmental, to work with empathy, to identify with those around us. And I was disappointed to hear that this counselor was not having that type of experience with her co-counselors in the high school setting. So that was a surprise to me. I think one of the things that I already knew in my interview with the counselor in private practice, she did reference the amount of paperwork and documentation that is required. The biggest change she has noticed in counseling over the last 20, she also has been in counseling 20 years, is the use of evidence-based practices and needing to provide documentation to third-party payers, insurance companies, the state when it comes to Medicaid programs. And this, of course, was her least favorite part of her job. I have often thought about private practice and think I would enjoy it very much. However, have not considered it seriously because of that aspect of the job. I have previously was a business owner. I owned a dance studio for years, so I do know the business side of being a sole proprietor, and did not enjoy that then. And I think the only way I would consider private practice is if I had a business partner who handled the business side of that for me or did assist me with that. So I think that was one thing that I already knew about counseling in private practice, which is why I recognize it's really not a good fit for me at this stage of life. So it was a great activity. I enjoyed meeting with other professionals and learning from them, gaining insight, more insight about the profession. And thank you for listening.